there were a lot of new knives in 2023, and there were some that stuck out to me in particular for one reason or another, so I figured I'd put together a list of my favorite knives, 15 of my favorite, in fact, from this year, 2023. So with that said, let's do the damn thing. So we're gonna break this down into 3 categories. Fixed blades, which have been a very big thing for me this year. We're also gonna talk about some really cool budget knives that came out, and then finally, some premium folders. And starting with fixed blades, we wanna talk about this right here. This is the Big Idea Design Lookout. This is their new knife that they launched at Blade Show West. We were in Chattanooga when they were working on these. They actually have 40 of this variant coming out. So this is made in the USA, which you can see right there. It's the Big Idea Design logo with an American flag behind it. So these are made in Chattanooga. And then in a couple of weeks, there's also going to be a production model that's going up on Kickstarter. So if you want to get in on a production model, which is going to be M390, those will be on Kickstarter. The 40 that they're dropping are in Magna Cut, but I believe they will have a different configuration and color. But this is a really nice small fixed blade. It feels a lot like a paring knife, and I think that's one reason why I really like it. Not only is it small, but it's very utilitarian, and I've enjoyed this a lot. There's not much else to say about it. The USA made versions are $300, or at least that's what they were at Blade Show. I don't know what the production version will be, but I would imagine probably closer to 200, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. And it will come with a different sheath. It has a Kydex sheath with a deep carry clip, like a titanium clip for pocket carry as well. But this one came with an ulti clip in leather. I don't know what the next 40 will come with, but probably something similar to this. So anyway, that is the Big Idea Design Lookout, and it's a good one. So I know Joseph would love to take full credit for me going down this rabbit hole of pocket fixed blades, and I will say that he had a hand in it, and especially this clip that he designed, but he's not the whole reason I went down this rabbit hole. The Vero Axon fixed blade's number 2 on this list, and it's different. It's totally different from anything that I've carried. It's just a very unique fixed blade for EDC, and it's a lot of blade compared to the handle size, and it is big for pocket carry, but it carries really well. He made the sheath really tight to the blade, where it's a one-sided sheath, so you don't have holes on both sides, and this clip is what makes this whole thing. So the clip is sold separately, but it retains really, really well in the pocket, and I think what really sells it for me is just that long, flat edge on this Wharncliffe blade. It's good for food prep, it's good for opening boxes, it has a lot of utility. This is one of my favorite blade shapes as far as utility goes, not aesthetics, but this knife looks good. And if you don't like the brass scales that I have on here, it comes with marble carbon fiber. You've got various finishes of micarta. I believe there's probably some G10. There's all sorts of different handle or scale options for the handles. So you can kind of make this thing however you want it if you like different aesthetics. It's a really solid package, a really good knife, and there's a reason they basically stayed out of stock since they came out. It's a great knife. Great whole package. I know that Ricky is tired of hearing me talk about this, and I know that you guys probably are too. Number 3 on this list is the Wicket. So we were actually planning this video and we're like, wait, was this knife released this year? Yes. The regular size Wicket was not released this year. It was last year, but the Wicket XL is from 2023, middle of the year. So the larger size of the Wicket, which is actually my favorite, was released this year. So I've talked about it at length. We don't have to go in depth. This is from Knives by Nuge, and he has a few different versions of the Wicket and the Wicket XL. This is the primitive. Then there is a Scandi grind in ADCR V2. I believe this one's also ADCR. Yep. And then the full sized in the full flat is in Nitro V. He has the Assault, which is all blue. He has a lot of different configurations. There's even like a Hawaiian version of it. He has fun with it, but it's just a really good knife. Ergonomics on it are to die for, and it's just a really good working knife. Good size, good shape. I love everything about it. Normally they come with this sheath right here, which is okay. It's fine. You could take this off and put whatever you want on these 4 holes. But as I've said in the past, these are what really make this knife come alive. This is the Offensive Industries ambi sheath with the discrete carry concepts clip. This is awesome. This is awesome. And then when you pair them, this is one of my favorite knives of all time. So anyway, that is the Knives by Nuge Wicket XL. Get yourself one. I really haven't talked about this knife a lot on this channel. I haven't carried it a ton because when this knife came out, I didn't have a good pocket carry solution. Now I do, but this is the WESN Knives Bornas. It's S35V in steel, about $180. They're for pre-order right now, and it comes in 2 handle options. This is the green G10. There's also a rosewood handle, which looks phenomenal. And it's just a traditional like work knife. It's small, it feels good in the hand. It is a little too small, so if you don't like smaller knives, you're probably not gonna enjoy this because this is like a 3-finger knife. That's why I have the lanyard on there. So the other thing is this is a knife that is made in Sweden, which the WESN family, the owners, I guess, or one of the owners, their ancestors are from Sweden, and Bornas is that last name. So really cool history behind it. It's just kind of an old classic, something that, you know, your grandpa could carry, I guess. It just nondescript, simple, gets the job done. And then you get to choose your sheath, either this Kydex or a leather belt sheath. The belt sheath looks really nice, but I'm not really a belt sheath kind of guy. So I'm gonna go Kydex so I can put something on it so I can carry it in my pocket. There you go, that is the WESN Bornas. I think it's underrated. I don't even know if they released them yet, but they are available for pre-order now, and it says shipping fall 2023. So we're getting close to the end of that window. Yeah, look out for it. Place your pre-order if you want one. I think it's a really good knife that not enough people know about. Last year, one of my favorite knives, without a doubt, is this right here. This is the Schwarz Knives Overland. And TJ sent this to me. He said, carry it and tell me what you think. And I said, dude, I love this knife. Because it's true, I do. Ricky will tell you, when I'm cooking at home, typically I'm using this knife. When I'm camping, well, not this time, because I bought a knife, but this has been one of my favorite food prep knives ever. It's just solid, but it's not an EDC knife, and TJ agrees, so he made a smaller version. This is the Schwarz Knives Overland Sport. Basically the exact same thing. And if the shape of this knife looks kind of familiar to you, it's because TJ is also a designer for CRKT, and he made a folder that looks exactly like this and is also called the Overland. But it's just so good. It's a really good food prep knife. Like I said earlier, this blade shape is one of my favorites. This is more of a sheepsfoot than a Warncliffe, but either one of those is just a really good utility blade shape, and making it in a smaller size so it'll fit in the pocket better is just a really smart move. I'm a huge fan. It comes with the ulti clip and this pancake sheath. And then one of the coolest things about this and all of TJ's knives is that you can go on his website and configure it yourself, very similar to Benchmade's customizer. So you can pick your hardware color, you can pick those the collars here, you can pick your scales, the blade finish, everything. Even down to the sheath and the hardware color on your sheath, you can choose all of that on his website, which is really, really neat. So this one is $265, but if you want to save some money on the Overland or Overland Sport, you can use my code BDEDC. That'll get you some cash off, save some money, and you can get a really cool knife, one of my favorites. So the next knife on this list was actually sent to me by Blade HQ earlier this year, and I was putting together a best budget knives video, and I did not expect this knife to make the list. Typically, I would say that Kershaw has kind of underwhelmed me for a long time, where a lot of other companies have been innovating and upping the ante and upgrading and doing better things. Kershaw has felt kind of stagnant until this knife. This is the Iridium, and I am leaving out things like the Launch series because those have been, you know, fan favorites for a long time. I just mean in general, most of Kershaw, but the Iridium is really, really good. So the price on these, I think, is between 50 and 60 bucks, depending on where you buy it. And for that money, this thing is really, really solid. It feels, I told Ricky earlier today, as good as a bug out, if not better. You have aluminum handles, this really cool orangey bronze back spacer, a deep carry clip, and really good action. It's centered. It's drop shutty if you care about that at all. The only pain point for some people is probably going to be that it is D2 steel, but I mean, it's a budget-friendly knife. That's what you have to deal with a budget-friendly knife, and D2 is perfectly fine for 99.9% of what you're going to do with it. I think the only thing that some people won't love about this knife is probably the big blade. It's got this kind of leaf almost. It's not quite, I mean, it's a drop point, but it's got some belly to it. It's a kind of a funky shape, but I don't hate it. It's just something that I originally took a little time for me to warm up to it. It might be that big swedge, I don't know, but it's a really good knife for the money, and that is the Kershaw Iridium. Another standout from that same video is the Civivi Sokoke. I carried this one personally for weeks and weeks after I made that video. It's just a solid knife. Really solid. I am a sucker for Ray Laconico designs. It's quintessential Ray Laconico, right? You do have thumb studs, but there's also a big front flipper on it and a just very ergonomic handle. And it's almost bushcrafty a little bit, and not much else to say about it. It's affordable. It's really, really good. It's Civivi. I don't think they've made a single lemon ever to my knowledge. And then of course this clip on here is aftermarket, because that's probably the worst part about Civivi is the bent deep carry clips. I ruin them. So Civivi sent me a pile of clips because they know that I'm going to ruin the clips. So other than that, which is more of a me problem than anything, this knife is damn near budget perfection. And that is the Civivi Sokoke. This next knife, it's almost unbelievable how good this knife is for the money. This is the Civivi Vision FG, which is just a more budget-friendly version of the WE Vision R. They're both designed by Esnyx, and it has this super lock on the back, which is very similar to the Shark lock from Demco. They are different, but they have a lot of similarities, and it's just super fidgety for one, but it's very strong. And once again, if you look at this blade, it is very similar to this blade right here, which I just finished talking about how much I like it. It's a good blade shape. A lot of people really, really like this knife right now. So in the Vision R, you're looking at 20 CV, dropping down to the Civivi Vision FG, you're looking at Nitro V steel. They've switched from the spine clip that's on the Vision R to just a standard deep carry Civivi clip, and these micarta handles with liners instead of the full titanium handled version. And what you get is a price point of about $78. It goes up to over 100 depending on which version, like Damascus, Ultim, and stuff like that. But the base version, like this one right here, is about 78 bucks on Amazon. And for that, I think this is one of the best budget knives to have come out all year. I don't think it's one of the best. I think it is the best budget-friendly knife this year. There are more budget-friendly knives, I understand, but I'm considering basically anything under 100 in that category. So this is the best knife in that category. Next, we're going to talk about something that is, yes, technically a multi-tool, but this was one of the most surprising things I saw at Blade Show West. They came out a little earlier this year, but it's kind of unclear on when they came out. The reason this is so significant is because this is basically a premium Swiss Army knife competitor. This is M390 blade steel. You have some really, really nice tools. So for example, this can opener, this thing is sharp. It will grab your finger. So it's not these like cheap little stamp tools. Not saying that Swiss Armies are cheap or whatever, but they're made well. But this is like a premium Swiss Army knife, which is something that's never really been done. And I don't really consider putting titanium scales on a Swiss Army knife as a premium Swiss Army knife. This is a Swiss Army knife, effectively a Italian Army knife, we'll say, with M390 steel and very, very nice build quality. I'm a big fan. I like it. It's compact. The only thing I think they could do even better, maybe a pocket clip, but that might be asking a little too much, but maybe a bigger size, right? Something that's along the size of a Cadet or even like a Pioneer. Something along those lines would be really cool, but I'm not complaining about this one either at all. And that is the Fox Knives Vulpis. And they range from, I believe they said around $30 for like a single blade slip joint version, all the way up to this one, which is in the ballpark of 90. So not super cheap, but for what you're getting, this is a really good deal. So I'm all for it. Oh, and this is titanium as well on the higher end versions. The colorful ones are in aluminum. This one is titanium. So I'm a big fan of the Vulpis. So the next knife on this list is probably going to be a little controversial, and that is the Tactile knife company Maverick. On paper, this thing is amazing, but there were some QC issues in the beginning. That's been something that Tactile's had to contend with, and if this was the only Maverick I had, I'd never get another one. I'll be completely honest. They gave this one to me, I think, at or after Blade Show Atlanta, and it's fine. I like the shape. It's a bigger knife. I carry mostly a little bit smaller knives these days, but I don't dislike this at all. So on paper, I Really like this thing a whole lot. The only thing I didn't know that I would like at first was this clip, but this clip looked extra thick for the size of this knife, and it's kind of deceiving because the knife itself is pretty thin. But in person, this clip is not egregious. It sticks out there, but it's not nearly as bad in person as it seems in photos. It's just one of those things that does not photograph well, but I don't dislike the clip at all. It's very strong, which is something I can appreciate. But again, if this was the only Maverick I'd ever had, I would not get another one, period. However, they sent me this one a couple months ago, and as you can tell by the blue on this green G10, I've carried this thing a good bit. This one, as you can even hear it. You hear the difference here? It sounds soft because it is, and you can just see it too. This one is tuned. I've taken this one apart. I've cleaned it. I've done everything I can to this one to try and make it better, and it's just, this is how it is. It's not that great. This one is phenomenal, and I've carried this one a lot, and I like this one a lot. In fact, I like this one enough where we're gonna do a carry commission version of it because I do genuinely like this. So if I had only had this Maverick, it wouldn't have even been in contention for this list at all. But this one, as soon as I got it, I knew it was gonna be on my year-end list. So that is the Tactile Maverick. They have changed. If you bought one before and you liked it, but were a little bit disappointed, maybe give it another shot. I know that's a big ask, right? Giving a company a shot for something that they maybe didn't get right the first time, but they are actively working on things, they are improving, and I can appreciate that. Yes, I am probably a little biased because I'm friends with them, but I've seen them grow. I knew about Tactile Knife long before it was ever even announced, and watching it turn from this little conversation into a sizable knife company is really cool, and they're trying to make everything right, so you can at least appreciate that. And I really like this, which was not always the case, so just putting that out there. Oh boy, this one is this is a sick knife. This is the Wehr Knives Wolf P, or the Werewolf P, but it is quintessential Wehr designs. Small handle, big wide blade. I'm a sucker for a wide blade like that. Hollow grind, I believe these are M390. Frame lock, I opted for the bronze anode and the Zermascus accents for the pivot collars and the clip and backspacer. And this thing is sweet. So I had the original Lucas P, and it was pretty good, but it was heavy. It was a little bit clunky, not in a bad way. It's just once you've held this one and hold that one, there's no comparison. The Wolf P is by far the better Wehr knife. He also recently came out with the Alley P, which is also really nice. And if you don't like, say, a big belly drop point, you got a Warncliffe here. But for me, when it comes down to it, it was a toss-up between which one of these would make the list originally, but I think ultimately it comes back to the Wolf P. This is more my style, more my speed. Action's good. It is just a really, really good production knife from Wehr Knives. So Wolf P made the cut. Now we have the Rosalinda. Yet another Ray Laconico design. So this one, I guess, is a little bit of a gray area because this is an old design from Ray Laconico. I don't think it was always called the Rosalinda. I believe he told me something like that at Blade Show, but they re-released it as a production through Monterey Bay Knives instead of, I guess, a custom from Ray Laconico. So I guess that means it can exist on this list. This is one of the best actions I've ever seen in a knife. If you care about that thing, some people don't like this, and I don't always like it. Sometimes I like to have a little more control over my knives, but this one is a true finger guillotine every time. I mean, it's just, it was almost scary at first, but now I'm used to it. And from the man himself, I said in a short or reel that I made that it's not intended to be a front flipper. That's true. Ray said it himself. It was not intended, but it can be front flipped. So not only is it a really solid price, you're also getting laminated ZDP 189. And what that means is you can see the lamination line here. The HRC on this is 66 to 67, so it's extra hard, but that lamination also means that it's tough too. So you're not getting something that's really hard and brittle. It's kind of a best of both worlds kind of thing. Milled clip. It's got this, like, not quite orange peel, but a Zer blasted finish on it. So it's textured, feels almost like sandpaper at first. It's kind of worn down. It's very Chris Reeve-esque, I guess. But the action and the performance of this knife for the price is kind of ridiculous. So I knew, again, just like with the Wolf P, that as soon as I got this was on the list. So that is the Rosalinda from Monterey Bay Knives. All right, we have the Flytanium Arcade. I've talked about it a good bit lately. This knife made my gift guide this year because it's just so cool. It's a solid price, and it's got the Shark Lock from Demco on it. You're getting S35VN blade steel, and the coolest thing about this is that you can customize this thing from the maker. Flytanium specializes in scales and backspacers and screws and thumb studs and all this customization, and you can do that, but you're not buying it from some other maker, you're buying it from Flytanium. So this one originally had micarta in the handle, and the inlay I swapped out for a brass inlay, and I also put a brass backspacer on it. So you can buy this knife and completely customize it however you want from the maker. Really cool. So it's a different take on how like Benchmade's customizer works, because you can buy these parts after the fact. The customizer from Benchmade, you're stuck with that knife however you configured it, unless you go to Flytanium and buy the parts anyway, but you can buy these parts directly from the manufacturer. And they're going crazy. They're going buck wild with parts and stuff for this, so you can put just about anything you want on the knife, and if you get tired of it, go back to them and buy some more. So that is the Flytanium Arcade. It's just a really, really nice knife. I like the drop point on it a lot. I'm so glad that they went with this blade shape. And of course, because of that shark lock, it's very fidgety, deep carry clip. Wish maybe they'd come out with like a milled clip, but we'll work on that. So that is the Flytanium Arcade. All right, the next knife is one that I talked about a couple months ago when I did a video on knife brands you should know. This comes from Esnyx, and this is part of his Silverline series, which means production. So this is a production version of a custom he makes, which is a slip joint, but this is a front flipper with a lock. A liner lock on this one, and if you go full TI, you have a frame lock. I like them both. Hard to say which one I like more, but the thing is, it almost didn't make this list because it almost didn't get released this year. And as of the making of this video, it's still technically not out, but I hear from Evan that it should be out by mid-December, which means it should make the list. So if it doesn't make the list, I'm sorry. I'll have a backup for you. I'll talk about it at the very end, but the Esnyx Workhorse has been probably one of my most carried knives for the second half of this year. I've had the Workhorse for months and months and months, and I've carried this one a ton. And then he also gave me this one at Blade Show West, which I actually haven't carried a whole lot. I thought I would really like the titanium frame lock more, but side by side, I actually prefer this liner lock with the micarta. I don't know why. It just feels a little bit better. It's lighter, and it feels a little more traditional. Warmer, if you will, because of that micarta, I guess. Anyway, the Workhorse is exactly as the name suggests. It is a workhorse blade. It feels like it's ready for work. It'll make you feel like a really cool grandpa too, or at least it makes me feel like one. I like it a lot. Hopefully they come out this year. We've been talking about it since like, I don't know, June. So hopefully they do actually make a launch. This one, I believe, right here in this configuration should be a Knife Joy exclusive, but they will be hitting several other dealers as well. All right, we'll go ahead and throw in the alternative for the Workhorse in case it doesn't come out this year, just because I feel like I should have it, and because the very last item on this list was a toss-up between two really sick knives in the Big Bro Jack from Jack Wolf and the Cruzador. So the one I'm actually including as the last item on this list is the Suprlativ Cruzador, formerly known as the Infidel. This is a hard use tactical slip joint. I mean, it's a beefcake. It's got a thick blade. The blade most reminds me of the Benchmade 940 in how thick it is. The 940 has got a kind of a thick blade on it, and this feels the same way. CPM M4 steel, obviously not a reverse Tonto, and it's a drop point instead, but you get what I'm saying. This thing feels like a worker for a slip joint. It's got a really hard pull on it, and it is a really sick knife. One of the coolest things about this is that they worked with Suprlativ, worked with Current Composites to create their own micarta, and they're calling it multi-canvas black. So it looks like multicam black, but it's made out of canvas, and it is a micarta, and it looks really, really cool. And no, because I got asked a whole bunch, that's not the Blade HQ logo. It's not, it's Superlatives. Anyway, or it's just an inlay, because that's their logo. But Anyway, the alternative is also another really badass slip joint, and this is the Big Bro Jack from Jack Wolf Knives. It has S90V blade steel. It has a full hollow grind, so it's super slicey. It's like the polar opposite of the Cruzador, and it's got this really hard edge to it. Some people don't like that. I like how it feels. This is the definition of a modern traditional slip joint. Big clip point up here. I really like this knife a lot. In fact, I've carried this a bit. You can see a good bit actually, because you can see all the wear on it. Just a really sick modern slip joint. And the pull on this is like nothing else. Like there is no other slip joint I have that has such a strong pull. Like this has a hard pull on it. This is like 20-30% stronger. So anyway, the last item on the list is the Suprlativ Cruzador, and in the event the Workhorse doesn't make it, we're throwing in the Big Bro Jack as a backup. So there you have it. That is my 15 favorite EDC knives of 2023. Let me know your favorite knives from 2023 in the comments down below, and also let me know what your favorites in my list were as well. Everything I talked about will be linked in the description down below, and that's it. I'll see you guys in the next video, and until then, carry on.